here we have a picture of John Paul II hand in hand with the communist 33rd degree Mason Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela is absolutely annihilating anything that even remotely looks like Christian in South Africa. This ethnic cleansing that you're hearing about is Christian cleansing throughout the world. Here he is shaking hands with the communist Mikhail Gorbachev, who's also a Mason. Birds of a feather, folks, flock together. Now here he is sitting on a par at a synagogue, at a Jewish temple. These things have never been done before, have never been seen before. What is he doing? The Jews killed Christ. Can you read the Bible? So now you're going to go out and be buddy-buddy with B'nai B'rith? Now here he is, receiving the B'nai B'rith, March 22nd, 1984. And down below, here he is meeting with members of the Trilateral Commission. Steering Committee, members of the Council on Foreign Relations, a bunch of Marxist hoodlums made up of people like Zbigniew Brzezinski and David Rockefeller, and CEOs, Henry Kissinger, quite a little gang.
I mean, Memorandum 200. Why are you afraid to talk about your depopulation plan?
Why don't you get lost?
Why should I get lost? It's serious. Order, national way for the question. Look at this, that's assault. You're not going to get assault with Russia or China. There will be no New World Order. Rockefeller, your New World Order will never come in.
Okay, this is a picture of Vladimir Lenin. This is the individual whose philosophy the United Nations supports. But let me tell you just a little bit about the United Nations. The fact of the matter is, when he stands at the United Nations and just stands there and has his picture taken, he is validating that organization. And the United Nations, my friends, is right out of the pit of hell. The people who are hanging out at the United Nations are just simply, in a nutshell, one word, they're Luciferian. The reason they're doing it, they are promoting the philosophy and the religion of the Antichrist.
You said about the Pope in the last segment, the so-called Pope. That kind of struck me as interesting since you are Father Jack Ashcroft. Do you not agree that this is the Pope?
No, I do not. He is what we would call an anti-pope. As a response to the Second Vatican Council and the modernism that issued forth from that, the false teachings, the false practices, there was a response by certain members of the clergy, including a Cardinal Ottaviani, to the changes that the Second Vatican Council was implementing, demonstrating how they undermined the faith, they undermined the foundation of the gospel of Christ, and they literally created a new religion. And by way of demonstrating that, it's interesting to note that the new Mass that is celebrated in most of what are called Catholic churches today is called the Novus Ordo Missae, the New Order Mass. Kind of interesting, that little bit of connection. Yes, it is actually called the Novus Ordo Missae. So, a growing number of clergy responded by saying, we do not accept these changes. We are not going in this direction. And as a matter of fact, the Pope who is agreeing to this has become a manifest heretic. And we cannot agree that he is the Pope any longer. And thus was born a movement called Sede Vacantism. Sede meaning the seat, vacante meaning vacant. In other words, the seat of the Bishop of Rome is empty. From John the 23rd, who was a Freemason, which automatically excommunicated him, down to Pope Francis, none of these men are Catholic, and none of these men can even claim to be Christians in any sense of the word. They are modernists, they are heretics, they are globalists, and so when I say the so-called Pope, it's because of that. And Catholics listening to this need to understand there is grave doubt. Using the Novus Ordo rites is even valid. Atheists going to heaven, even talking about homosexuality is acceptable, etc. I mean, these are all the logical ends of the Second Vatican Council.
I want to show you some extraordinary pictures which came to us from the Vatican on what was, of course, an extraordinary day. Within hours of Pope Benedict announcing that he was to resign, take a look at this. Lightning struck St. Peter's Basilica. You can see it again now in slow motion. Extraordinary. It happened just before 6 o'clock in the evening, local time.
And he said unto them, I beheld Satan as lightning fall from heaven.
Would you say then, because of the direction that it's going and because of the occupancy of that position by somebody who is evidently not qualified to hold that position, that it's of a satanic influence? Because I would think if I was Satan, man, that would be a great coup d'etat right there, to put somebody who's not qualified in that seat.
Even Paul VI, who was a heretic himself, he proclaimed the smoke of Satan has entered the church.
Wow.
Pretty serious proclamation.
So do we see this current Pope leading people in a satanic way? I mean, as an exorcist who's been doing this for a long time, do you see similarities between what the current Pope is doing and what you see in symbology or acting out in the demonic realm?
I will say this, that Francis is promoting the same agenda that the globalists are. Philosophy rooted in occultism. Therefore, I would say anyone who remains in the Novus Ordo Church, who continues to follow the hierarchy of the Novus Ordo, their souls are in danger because they are following the program of Satan at this point. He was ordained in the Novus Ordo rites, so the chances are he is not even a valid priest, which means he cannot be the Pope. Even if he were validly ordained, by virtue of his teachings and their extreme departure from traditional Christian doctrine and morals and ethics, he is no longer a Christian. He's become a false teacher. He's a heretic.
So what do you make of, then, his rapid popularity growth? He's rallying Catholics.
Well, yeah, look at the Catholics he's rallying, though. And look at the people who are lauding him. It's the progressive media who loves him. It's the gay lobby who loves him. You're not looking at Christians who are seeking to be faithful to the teachings of the gospel, faithful to the teachings of the church. What you're seeing are the radical elements of the church who are flocking to this man, and the radical elements in media and society who are supporting this man. So, of course, he's going to have a degree of popularity. These people are lauding him because he's promoting their agenda.
Should we be afraid of the power that he's starting to accumulate then?
Absolutely. He's a very real and very frightening player on the world scene.
Two children joined Pope Francis for his weekly prayer from the papal apartments. The pontiff used the service to call for peace and reconciliation in Ukraine, and to symbolize this, the children released two white doves into the air.
Right.
But as they took off, one was attacked by a passing seagull, while the other was repeatedly pecked by a crow. It's not known what happened to the doves after the incident.
He's an absentee landlord. Worship that? Never. I've nurtured every sensation man has been inspired to have. I cared about what he wanted, and I never judged him. Why? Because I never rejected him. In spite of all his imperfections, I'm a fan of man. I'm a humanist. Maybe the last humanist. Who in their right mind, Kevin, could possibly deny the 20th century was entirely mine? All of it, Kevin! All of it. Mine. I'm peaking. It's my time now.